We're live. Welcome.
Amazing.
Hey.
It's been a little while since we've been on, I think. So hello, everybody. I'm Erica Fortgang, and I'm here with Tredly. Normally we have Joanne Weaver. She's off in the Vermont woods, I think, right now, enjoying some no screen time. And today we are joined by a friend of mine. I've known him for a little while now, Nic Mahaney. He is a product leader. Right now, he's the co-founder and COO of Ellie, which is an AI-powered recruiting platform built for recruiters. Yay! We love that.
Awesome. Yeah.
He's always kind of worked on the intersection of, I think, communication and technology at a company previously called ICOM. I think that's right.
Yep.
And then founded One Pager, which I think is a place where founders can organize all of their information in one page, which was then acquired by a company in the financial services space. So now you're doing this awesome thing for us recruiters. Yay, thank you. We'd love to hear, I think, more about you, more detailed. And then also, I think while you're doing that, we'd love for anyone who's joining us to tell us where you're calling in from, because we've had some really great,
see it. We love to hear
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on, gang. And I think Erica, I think we first connected before I even knew what I was building with Ellie. It was sort of like, hey, I've had this experience with recruiting. I want to, figure out what I can do in the space, and you sort of helped us figure out what we were going to do. So thank you for having me on, and thanks for all the help in getting us to where we are. So a little bit about myself and why I actually am really excited to be on this specific live show and talk with love working with design recruiters is before I joined ICOM when I was in college, I had a weird combo of I majored in finance thinking I was going to do like investment banking and everything, and realized I hated that. But fortunately, I minored in studio art with a huge focus on graphic design, and so I spent a lot of time in web design, and a huge reason that I was able to end up working in product was my entire company at ICOM was basically engineers, and I knew how to use Photoshop. So I do all my mock-ups in Photoshop.
Nice.
Then I learned Sketch, and then eventually converted all of that over to Figma as we were starting One Pager. And so, but Eric, you did a great job sort of summarizing what I've been up to for the last decade. But I think the biggest reason for why we started Ellie, and we'll get into what Ellie does, is from ICOM to One Pager to the company that acquired us, Stonks, now known as Stonks and Sandhill Market, sort of has shifted back and forth between names. I realized building a great product is fine, having good taste, good engineers or good engineering, outputs is fine. It's all about the team, right? And just like actually finding talent, nurturing talent, and getting people involved in the team and to believe in the company. And so when I had the opportunity to really take a step back from Stonks and think about what I was doing next, recruiting was something that just sort of kept peeking into the back of my mind. And so I went out and talked with, I think it was some absurd number, like 500 recruiters in 60 days.
Wow.
Learning about what the processes were, and Erica being one of them. And so that's sort of how we got here. And I can get into Ellie a little bit later, or I can chat about it now, whichever you guys prefer.
What a journey.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to ask you, was there a specific moment for you, like when you were like, this is it, I have to build this? And of course, like the first piece of Ellie.
Yeah, it's a couple things, right? Like one, like I talked about, actually like finding the right talent is just like so essential. Like when we were starting One Pager and the people that we hired, and same with Stonks and Sandhill, we made a lot of mistakes. We hired some wrong people, and we hired a lot of great people, right? And working with different recruiters, both in-house and external, I got to witness a lot of the workflows and processes that were just like long and broken, and dealing with myself as a hiring manager. I have a lot of empathy for you and sympathy for you dealing with people like myself, because I'm a nightmare from a hiring manager perspective, because I got a million things going on. And so it was relatively natural to, after spending so much time hiring, to understand those pain points. And then when I actually, at around the time I was thinking about what I was going to do next, a lot of companies were starting to talk about and starting to be started around replacing recruiting with AI. And, I'm sure we'll spend a lot of time talking about this today, but I have a very strong opinion that humans build teams, and it's not, there's no quantitative way to evaluate every single person objectively in a silo, right? And there's almost an intentional human bias or human error worked into building teams, right? And like, what's like some of these tests that some would say are bad and some would say are good, but like, do I want you to join my team, right? And do I need somebody to evaluate you as a person, right? What's your body language, things of that sort, that will AI maybe be able to improve a lot of those processes? Sure, definitely. But humans build teams, and I feel very, very strongly that we will never create a quantitative score of one person, and that's who they are, and that's why they're joining this team.
Yeah, that's huge. And I'm excited to hear more about your product and the research that you've done. I think for me, always, I think like knowledge is power when it comes to these systems and these processes. And the more that any designer out there, I say design because that's most of our audience, that's who I work with all the time, who Erica primarily works with. Like, the more they know about a hiring process or a system or anything like that, the more they can adapt what they need to do for that system to try to stand out. And I'm sure we'll get into some of these things, but I think that so many designers, and I would love if anyone wants to comment about their own experience with maybe getting hired or going through application processes or going through interview processes, all these parts of that hiring phase of a great team coming together. That's some of what Ellie is solving for. I think the thing about designers is it just feels like not all the other systems work for hiring a designer sometimes, or it comes with these unique caveats. And I'll say for myself, like, I've been able to work with a lot of companies because they can hire the other roles, but they can't figure out how to hire a designer. And it's it's like, oh, cool, no problem, give me a call. But like, why is that unique? And I love at the core of it how you're saying that you can't replace the human in all of it. I feel that 10 times more for designers, I think, because so much of what they do has human subjectiveness to it, I think, too. So
I'll give one of my old co-founders, Jack O'Brien, for credit for the inception of this concept of with AI, and realistically, AI is going to become an essential part of evaluating talent in the way that we build teams, the way that we actually implement and do work within the company. Any company, whether that's design, engineering, sales, marketing, anything. The issue with AI, and specifically within design, is and Guillermo Rauch, the founder of Vercel and Next, did a great podcast on this with Lenny Rachitsky as well. Of it's trained off of the internet, right? And so it's literally a numbers play of what are the systems and styles that are used today on the internet. Those will be the outputs generated by AI. So I say all of that to say, design is going to be so crucial. The element of taste, right? Of statistically, this is what should be built, right? Like, and you see it already in websites, like they all look the same. And there's a certain hero style and gradients and like, I mean, Web3, we saw everybody start ripping off Framer with like a black background with like
dark
purple
mode
and light
and
blue and
gradients.
Exactly. And so taste is going to be this massive element of how you evaluate designers when the actual hard requirement of time spent in Figma might be reduced, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you see some of the tooling that Figma's rolling
Yep.
out, you know, taste is something that won't be replaced because it's in the margins of percentages, right? And
It's the human in
what do you prefer, right? Like there's no
there.
quantify. It's like, what do you like, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I know we're probably going to talk about our own hiring process for designers, and that's a huge element for me and everybody that we had involved in the process was, hey, do we like what they're building, right? And like, do we think that that could be applied with what we're building, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah.
I love that. You mentioned the other day on our call briefly, like just a few kind of wild stats about the hiring space and the hiring landscape. Love to like shine a little spotlight on some of that, because I think there's a big feeling like, oh, it's changed. Oh, it's this. We all feel a way, but it sounds like you got some data.
Yeah, we do, and you know, this will maybe lead well into what we're building at Ellie and what we're seeing as a whole. But shout out to Gem. You guys are obviously familiar with Gem. Gem's a great product and have a lot of respect for their team, and they produced a market report. And what we found is that from that report is that over the last 3 years, the sheer number of recruiters has gone down 30%, right? Recruiters in jobs. At the same time, the number of applications that have come into companies, inbound applications, has doubled, right? And so you're seeing, and I can see in both of your faces, like, I'm aware, Nick, and
yeah, what?
no,
Shocking.
there's more responsibility put on individual recruiters, and whether that's reviewing applications, taking more calls, and the advent of AI tooling has made that worse, right? That's been a huge driver of applications. Obviously, there's been, job market has had a huge impact on that, but the ease of applying to jobs for candidates has made it, almost impossible on a lot of these inbound applications to actually review, some, X% of applications that have come in, right? And when you hit a certain tipping point, you sort of lose the ability to actually like appropriately evaluate talent, right? And so as AI has been introducing or reducing barriers for applications, spam has sort of become the norm, right? And that's a huge focus for us over the next year or 2 years, Ellie, is how can we reduce spam, right? How can we better qualify candidates, right? And how can we make it easier for recruiters to evaluate talent, right? And the first product that we built at Ellie was an AI note taker, and it's because in my early conversations with people like Erica was, hey, walk me through your day, and what I figured out was a 30-minute call is not a 30-minute time commitment, right? Let's not even look at pre-call. There's a 30-minute conversation where you're jumping back and forth, where there's a completely inverse correlation of quality of notes and quality of conversation, because when you're engaged, you're not looking down at your pen and paper. And then there's the 15 to 30 minutes after the call of cleaning up your notes, adding them to the ATS, synthesizing those notes into a summary that you can share. Because once again, getting back to me as the pain point as the hiring manager, you send me all your notes, I'm not fucking looking at them. That's way too much. That's way too much for me. And so, like, what is the information that you can share for me to actually read them, right? And so, if you have an 8-hour day, which recruiters often are closer to the 12 to 15-hour mark, if you have an 8-hour day, you're doing 4 hours of interviews, right? And if you're trying to reach some initial number of screens to do the right calibration, right, to share Y amount of candidates with the hiring manager, you just cut your capacity in half from admin work that's 90% templated. And our goal at Ellie has never been to replace 100% of steps, right? It's always been to accelerate and augment processes rather than replace, right? How can we get you to 95% of summary generated, and then you add in your opinion before you send it to the hiring manager, right? And so I just started speaking there. I'll pause there so that I'm not just monologuing this entire time.
Yeah, it's especially cool. I mean, I will be honest, I haven't used it in a little while, which because I operate typically on my phone. So I'm still kind of waiting for that one feature we've talked about. But I think what's really exciting about your product is that we can train it, right? We can tell exactly how the types of questions in our normal flow that we ask people, whether it's like, tell me about yourself, or, what is your experience with management, or what is your location, salary, expectations, motivations, like every question that we could think of. But a lot of the time it's just a very natural conversation, like, tell me about yourself. And then it will organize that for us into a write-up. And I don't know, people, this is how we sell you into companies. We like really, truly like take everything from the conversation, from your resume, from your LinkedIn profile, from your website, like everything, we put it together and we package you up and send you out. So that is the part that probably takes the longest, and you guys are solving that.
Yeah, it's a really fun, it's a game theory piece, right? Of like, if you throw too much information at me, like, well, you lost me and you didn't get me to read maybe some of the most important information. But then if you do too little information, it doesn't paint the right picture.
Not enough context.
Right? And that's been a huge thing for us, I think, at Ellie, was we started with prescriptive summaries, right? Of, hey, we'll generate the summaries, we'll try to package what's the best way to share information about a candidate. And I think we realized sort of like 5 minutes after the first call, it's like, well, that was a stupid idea. Like, I know that like I wouldn't evaluate a BDR the same way that I would evaluate a product designer or a product designer versus a graphic designer, right? Like, those are totally different things. Like, you can't just package them the exact same way. Yeah, no, exactly.
Thank you for knowing that.
A lot of people do not know that. Yeah. And so very, very early on, we realized, hey, we need to be able to support custom summary generation of, what do you as a recruiter care about for this specific type of role? And so Ellie has this incredible AI templates feature of, you can use natural language to tell Ellie how you want her to write about stuff. You can manually structure it to be very, very specific if you have like very diligent formats and everything. So it's been fun working with a lot of recruiters as well. Of like, hey, what do you need? Like, where are we missing? What are we doing really?
A freezer. Internet challenges.
Wasn't me this time.
I love this when Nic does tune back in. I'm really curious about maybe like the candidate experience side as well, and what happens there. I feel like so many of the great designers there he is. Nice. No, you're good.
All right, we're back. Now we're back. This happens to me. I was actually nervous about this. Happens to me once a day. My internet just cuts out for like 10 seconds. And it's never happened when I'm not on a call. So
at an appropriate time. I was just briefly saying, maybe you can guide us a little bit more as well on like the candidate experience side of things. And I don't know where all the features are kind of getting built out. I know ultimately Ellie is a tool for the recruiters, but one of the most important parts of that experience is the talent themselves. I think, to share some sentiments, and I'm sure this is not surprising to you as well, but for designers, we hear a lot from designers navigating things like an ATS system. We hear a lot of comments from designers talking about, is AI screening my work, my resume? Am I being auto-rejected by the bot? You hear a lot of these things. At the same time, we talk to a lot of internal design recruiters that say, we don't have that kind of technology. We still review as many people as we can, live in person, however, without AI scanning tech. And it feels like we're getting somewhere in between. Like, that's kind of where we're heading, the human and the machine. But thinking through that candidate experience, like, what should candidates be scared? They shouldn't, and why not? Like, how do they be a great standout designer?
I think
not to fully put you on the spot.
No. Well, no. It's a great question. I'm trying to make sure I answer it as succinctly as possible, because it would literally take up the rest of the hour.
Sorry.
Talk about it.
The easy stuff.
No, but it's I think one of the things that we've always been very adamant about, and honestly, it's probably hindered some of the growth potential of Ellie, is transparency with candidates and full awareness of, Ellie joining a call, right? That's a great example for note taking. Ellie's a participant on the call. She shows up. There's a square there. It says, interview note taker. We have it in our terms and we build it into products to make the candidate aware, hey, I'm here to take notes. And there's a lot of other companies that don't do that. And, we think it's a full trust building exercise. We actually think it elevates the candidate experience for them to hear right away from the recruiter, hey, I'm using this to take notes so that I'm engaged in our conversation. Right. Like I want to be forthcoming to you that I'm using this as a tool to better talk, like to have a better conversation. It's going to give you a better opportunity to tell your story. Right. And that's been something that has been really a building principle for us at Ellie is, if we are going to augment a traditional candidate experience, being transparent about it is the best way to do it. Right. And Jared, to your point about AI screeners, I think that's a lot of the feedback sometimes from candidates is, I thought I was getting on a call and with a person, and then it was a bot, or like it was deceptively a bot, right? Like there was an avatar that looks human and it wasn't a human. And I think that there's a reality of the response right now to AI screeners is pretty barbelled, right? I think on one side it's screeners are going to replace the recruiter screen, right? I don't think that's going to happen, at least not entirely. And then on the other side is, AI can't be a part of my conversations. AI doesn't know how to ask questions, right? Et cetera. It's like, well, you know what? AI actually can ask questions, and it can do it relatively well. But what questions can it ask, right? And what questions should it ask, right? And that gets back to the humans building teams piece. And if I'm especially for design, right? Getting back to taste, it's like, well, I'm not going to review your portfolio and ask you questions about your portfolio, right? But can I ask qualifying questions as an extension of the application, for example, right? So one of the things that, and at Ellie, we're exploring building an AI screener as an extension of an application. And we're very, very specific in the way that we're approaching that, in the sense of, what are ways to qualify a candidate by collecting more information and not evaluate a candidate, right? Those are very different things, very, very different things.
Interesting.
And so what, and that's part of one of our goals of battling spam and creating this way to collect better data and appropriate data about a candidate is this concept of almost intentional barriers to application. And we talked about this the other day of, an old school way of a barrier to application was you had to show up and give me your resume in person. Right? Like, I'm not gonna accept a mailed resume. I don't know who you are, right? But you have to show up, drop your resume on the desk. And that was a great way to filter people out. Are you able to get up and come to my office to do this, right? And one of the more recent ways when things were sorry?
For designers, we were always told to bring like a leave behind.
Exactly.
Cupcakes, some type of, I don't know, something.
Or like your literal folio.
Folio, your printed folio.
Exactly.
I still have it.
And then, when things got digitized and going in person wasn't required anymore, cover letter was a perfect way to do that. I myself as an applicant, especially coming out of college, it was like, you have a cover letter? Cool. Unless I really love this job, I'm probably not going to do that, right? And so it was a great filter. And with AI, it's created the massive spam problem of ease of application. Those barriers have been reduced, right? And that creates this vicious cycle of, all right, as a recruiter, I can't review all these applicants, so all the good applicants get lost, right? All the people that did, actually thoughtfully read a cover letter about why they're interested, right? And didn't copy and paste it into ChatGPT to generate a cover letter or generate a response of how I've differentiated myself from other candidates, et cetera. So, is there an opportunity for AI conversations, right? And maybe screener is not the right term for that. An AI conversation to collect data about someone. Hey, are you willing to hop on a call with, Ellie, just to literally pop in our own name? for 10 minutes. Hey,
Yeah.
walk through your background to generate this 3D picture about yourself.
Mm.
And Ellie's not going to evaluate you. Ellie's going to collect that information, share with the hiring team, share with the recruiter for them to evaluate you and decide if we want to move forward. And what's your willingness to go through that process? Right? And it's imperfect. We're early on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
I get go on, Erica.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, I think like what we were saying about transparency, I mean, I think people really understand when you show them. So if there's a way to show like, you know, here's what a recruiter would write and or maybe what ChatGPT would figure out or something, which is some of our flows now.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I ask candidates to send me a blurb of themselves. Like, how can I help sell you? It's often better coming from them. You know, if I didn't write down the right thing or something when we were talking, or if I was distracted or whatever happened. So I feel like saying something, you know, we're using Ellie on this call to really capture you, like you're saying, this sort of great 3D version. And here's like a couple of examples of like, these are the notes that were taken and these are the results. And this is what we send to our clients. Exactly. I feel like they'll be very happy to not have to write their own blurb. Or edit it, because I mean, then it's like us waiting another day, 24, 48 hours for them to like get a chance to like, you know, mentally sit down and write about themselves for a specific role. And I think, I don't know, maybe I would just show people like, this is what the value is. And this is what it looks like. Like, this is how we're selling you this package.
Yeah.
That's 100%. I'm really, if there's anyone in the watching that has a comment as well, I feel like I've seen mixed reviews about the AI sort of screener as well. I really like the sentiment of it's not judging, it's just kind of collecting some more information. I certainly feel on my side as the receiver of applicants at times, like that barrier to applying, not to call it a barrier, but, you know, exactly as you said, that you want people to be quite intentional about their application. They're applying for a reason. I'm hoping that they've read and ingested the requirements that I've shared, that I took time to write out. I would hope that they're then aligning themselves with that. But yes, of course, for every one that maybe is aligned, I'd say probably about 50 that aren't right now, that are just kind of spamming it over. So I get the sentiment, but at the same time, I've definitely seen and heard mixed reviews about, I wouldn't do an AI interview. And I think, okay, well, we're stuck here now. We're at a stall with some of this.
It's funny though. I mean, somebody says that, right? If they were applying for a role as a, you know, design lead at OpenAI.
That's so funny. I was just thinking, I better jump at OpenAI.
I bet they're doing that screen. I can almost guarantee they're doing that screen. Right? And so, okay, if that's the case, you know, where does this end up in 3 months, 6 months, a year? I can say, you know, 2 years ago when I was just talking to recruiters about their, you know, life and what they would adopt with AI, there was a lot of pushback on even a note taker.
Right. So there you go.
And so, and now, I mean, I'm sure everybody can attest to this. Every call I join, whether it's Ellie or a different product, like there's a note taker on the call.
Yes.
Right. And so, you know, what's early and what's wrong. Right. And that's really difficult to balance and figure out. And you know, who knows? But I think if you're building, and this is just sort of my philosophy, if you're building while talking to users, you're going to de-risk that as much as possible. And if you're building with user empathy of, hey, I want to build the right thing for you and with you, I think you're going to put yourself in a better position. Same thing with designing, right? If you're designing with data and user feedback and user conversations, you're probably going to produce a better product than if you're building in a silo.
Yeah. Yep. Big time.
Yeah.
The wheels are ticking, Erica.
No. I was gonna switch gears a little bit to your hiring philosophy with designers. I have a spicy question.
Look out.
Do you think? Okay, so I deal with a lot of early startup, seed, first founders, a lot of hiring managers who've never hired designers before. I don't know what they're doing for design from the jump. A lot of these founders are engineer backgrounds. You're obviously a product and some design background.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like just like overall product first founders are better at identifying good design than an engineering background for a founder?
Yeah. No bias.
I'm obviously biased because my background is product through design, and I'm very much of engineer to product, like whether that's product manager, head of product, etc. It is obviously product dependent, but is a harder jump in skill to develop, and I think that's an outlier of engineers that are able to have this like incredible ability to think about design, to think about overall product, and to think about engineering. And this is my second time shouting out my old co-founder Jack O'Brien. He's one of those exceptions, right? I'm fortunate that the engineers that we hired at Ellie are all very, very product minded. I do think it's more difficult for an engineer just because of the way that they think through things, and I can't think that way. I wish I could. I would love to be an engineer getting poached by Meta for $1 billion, but I don't. My brain just like does not work that way, and so I do think it is very different for engineers to be able to hire designers, but once again, it's taste, and there's some engineers that have a very specific taste about the type of product they want to build, and that's the type of designer they're looking for, right?
Yeah,
so in the same way, if you can't put a number on a candidate, it's all about fit and match for any role and company and candidate.
On that, so fit and match, it's I always think of that saying, it's a bit of an older one, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Don't know how PC these sayings are anymore, but but that sentiment, what's right for one is not, whatever.
Yeah.
With the tools that you're building at Ellie, and maybe your own personal thoughts about where recruiting is going, which I'd really love to hear after this too. But like, how does some of the technology help make that work? You've got a hiring manager and their wants and needs, and then you've got just a swath of people. One is not always better than the other, but who suits that person? Like, how is the technology helping find that fit that's specific to that person doing the hiring? Are you starting to get into ways around that?
Yeah. So we're, for better or for worse, we're always hesitant on Ellie generating opinions. And if Ellie does generate opinions, she's doing it based off user inputted data, right? And user inputted prompts of, like, for my own prompts for Ellie to generate summaries from calls, I prompt Ellie to say, hey, are they a good fit or a bad fit for this role, right? And oftentimes I change it and I add my own context to it because she's not perfect.
Work in progress.
I have my own opinions. 100%. But we try to take in as much context around what a desired output is, rather than just like trying to make objective decisions on anything, right? And in the same way that I'm sure you both have run processes that are not defined, and that usually leads to misalignment with hiring teams, and specifically, once again, hiring managers like myself of like, oh, I want this. It's like, well, you said you wanted this, right? And all that. And so the better you can define what you want out from, whether that's Ellie or just, any AI tools, the better output you're going to get, right? And the better the AI can help push along any process that you have within recruiting. So my broader opinions on AI within talent and recruiting is HR and specifically TA is probably the most scrutinized department in any internal decision-making processes, right? Specifically with regards to budget and finances, right?
Especially at Astronomer.
There isn't one. There's no HR.
Never mind.
Oh, that's great. So realistic, and look, the stats that I showed earlier prove that, right? Like applications are going up and we're hiring less people. We're getting rid of people. It's okay. So there's a necessity to be more efficient with your time and with your value, right? And what that does is it's a forced introduction of stack ranking time spent, right? Of where do I deliver the most value, right? And I think it actually gets a little bit brutal for a recruiter to decide who's important and what's important for me to be spending time on, right? And it's easy to determine at some level higher value actions and lower value actions, right? Scheduling calls, probably a lower value action compared to talking with a candidate, right? Just looking at them side to side, right? But then if you're getting into, which Ellie does schedule calls, just a quick plug. But then if you're getting into which roles to prioritize, what's a better time spent, right? Between and there's some clear ones of, maybe an entry level BDR versus a VP of engineering or a VP of design. It's like, well, one has a more material impact on ROI, right? And you know what? I hate talking about this because it sucks to put a value on certain actions or certain roles or people because they all matter. They all have huge input. But like, if you're saying I have X hours in a day, you need to decide that on just ROI and value delivery, and especially as the most scrutinized department within an organization. And so that is where I think AI is going to play a part is which actions can AI participate in or own. And I don't think anybody knows the answer because I do think recruiting will shift just as a whole of like how candidates expect to be going through recruiting processes. The role of a recruiter is going to change significantly. And I think those human touch points are going to become 10x as important. And I think a lot of people think, oh, we're going to get rid of them. Good luck. Right? Like, I'm have fun with that. I think they are going to be 10x more important, but they are going to be more targeted on time spent, right? When do you talk with somebody and how do you speak with them? And what are the things that you should be focusing on in this human to human interaction versus something that's, once again, in quotes, maybe lower value or lower ROI on time spent.
A task. You're making me think. I'm sort of sitting here thinking, all right, what is this future of recruitment? AI is becoming way more in the vernacular. It's doing so many things. It's automating so much. I'm almost having like a Black Mirror moment of like, will it come in so much in recruiting specifically, what we're talking about today, that the machines, the human interacts with the machines all the way through so that you can get the job to go and work with the other humans. And you're like, hold on. So if you were to just like, just let your mind go from it in this future where maybe more of these AI paradigms are more natural of, yes, you are going to interview with AI and things like that. What do you think those 10x moments might be of the human in there? Like, what can we still look forward to in some of this? And how do we hold on to the humanity in hiring humans? Without just ending up.
I think specifically for, recruiters, right? Like you guys are like the gatekeepers, just
legends,
right?
Well,
legends. St. Peter, the gates, no, but I think one of the most important roles for recruiters is and will become like the face of the company, right? And being able to be the first touch point and continuing to be the first touch point of the human representation of a company, right?
Attracting the talent.
Exactly. Well, I mean, a lot of what I'm talking about is also for inbound, right? Outbound, that's a whole nother. I mean, that's like a whole nother game. But like somebody's entered the process, right? They've submitted in an application, right? It's the human element of answering really questions that candidates want opinions on, and you want the candidates' opinions on it, right? And being able to read between the lines and ask the right follow-up question, right? In the similar sense to AI's participation in design, where it's a numbers game. Same thing with asking questions, asking follow-up questions. Hey, based off this response, there's a statistical, question that I should be asking, right? Is the best question for me to ask. He's like, well, maybe that's not the right question to ask. Statistically, it could be the right question, but maybe that's not what I should be asking right now, right? The better way for me to unlock that, second or third level answer is for me to ask it this certain way. And I think it's just complex human decision making that's imperfect, right? And that gets back to that intentional human error and human bias that's, I think, can be a positive. There's obviously a million drawdowns to a lot of human intervention, right? And a lot of human interaction. I think there's also a lot of human positives of humans talking to humans and finding those little ways to unlock information about somebody that isn't just statistical follow-ups.
Not to like generalize or discount other skill sets too much, but I was just on a call before this with another design leader, and it was just that classic thing. I'm sure you can relate to this, Erica, as well, of like designers in general, the personality and what goes into being a designer is so much empathy and emotion and feelings, and you're putting a lot of this into the work, but at the same time you got to separate from that because their thoughts on your critique on your work is not a personal attack. But designers are feelers in such a way, and I think that's part of this hiring process and this mix of human and AI is that designers want to interact with the humans, and they are trying to hone their craft to make products for humans to better interact with. I just feel like it's not going to go away.
Totally agree.
And finding that balance of how to, and I want to give hope to designers, like you're still going to interact with humans.
For sure.
You're not going to.
I mean, everything that we're talking about, or that I'm talking about, I don't want to put words in your mouth, on AI's role in recruiting. Same thing could be talked about for design, right? Like I'm looking at Mixpanel. I'm seeing funnels of what works well, what buttons people are clicking, etc. You know what? I kind of want to talk to somebody to make sure that's appropriate, right? Like it's not just data, right? Like it's not just data. They might be clicking on a button that was confusing just because it was green or blue or whatever it might be, right? And there's a quote within like product and design that I always think about, which is from and now I'm blanking obviously because I'm on the spot. It was I think it was the CTO of Twitter of him talking about how he had to balance what users wanted and what I knew they wanted, right? And like a lot of it was really negative feedback. He was like, I have this, I know I'm right, and I need to figure out the best way to lead you to water on this, right? And that's a human element, right? Like
conviction,
like you need to have opinions on that. And Jared, I'll push back a little bit on what you said. I kind of think that it should take it as a personal attack when someone's saying that they don't like your work. I think it's, hey, you know what? This was personal to me. It took me a lot emotionally, and it took me a lot of just commitment and thought to produce this output, right? And so, do I need to figure out a way to process that personal attack? Of course, right?
Sure.
But I also think that's a representation of ownership and the human element of being proud about what you've produced and the effort that went into it, right? And look, there's a healthy amount of separating yourself from your work for sure. I haven't found that yet, but it's I think that those human emotions are essential to everything, whether it's recruiting, design, engineering, right? Like there's different styles of engineering and the way people write code and
true.
So
I don't want to I don't know, I want the designers to always, I personally pride myself on bringing the human connection to the hiring experience.
Agreed.
And that a value add for me as a recruiter is my human connection to the designers that I work with. I'm yet to kind of sell to a company in some way and say, oh, why work with me? Oh, I've got great, AI technology that does it all.
Agreed.
It's like, but I don't discount any of the tech to say I can do what I do more effectively, more efficiently, and put my time where it needs to be most and automate other things. I certainly recognize that. But I'm saying to companies, like, work with me because I know great humans as
Totally.
one.
Yeah.
So
we both have really strong networks, and I think that's why people come to us, because I hear it a lot, which I'm so grateful for. People are like, I love your style and how real you are and all the bullshit you say on LinkedIn and call outs that you do. It's just, usually just like absurd stuff from other founders. And that's what's, but yeah, behind the scenes, there's a lot of strategy, I think, like mental, like gymnastics going on over here. And I think my neighbor actually on my floor, she's also in recruiting, and she has worked in her own business for a long time. And she was one of the biggest things that we all have issues is when we speak to a candidate, if they're not right for a certain role, how do we remember like them immediately for later? Like we put them into a group of, lead product designer in New York City mobile. Okay. But then, it could go a little bit faster. I think there's something we're always kind of thinking of, or maybe they're good for another client we haven't worked with in 6 months. We'd love to sort of get them over there, but that's like more work. It's so much more work. So yeah, there's a lot of thinking that a robot's not going to be able to understand ever.
I totally agree. Well, it's also, there's recruiting is not just evaluation, right? There's a huge trust and there's a huge sales piece to it, right? I'm sure that you both work with candidates all the time. Well, first of all, like as a solo recruiter or an agency, you have to literally sell to get business, but also with candidates, right? Of like, hey, why this is a good fit. And once again, it's not just statistics, it's trust. And you need to have a relationship with that candidate, right? But Erica, I mean, one of the things that you mentioned right there was like, you kind of put Boolean tags on the candidate, right?
Yeah.
Just because like it's hard to remember. There's a lot of people, right? And like how do you like? Is there a better way to capture a candidate, right? And to have all of that data be surfaceable, right? So that when you do have a new role, it's hey, Nic is a great fit for this role, right? And then and that's not, hey, I'm like, as soon as that happens, it's going to automate reaching out to Nic and set up these meetings and like do an AI screener. But it's similar to the summary generation from Ellie. It goes, hey, Erica, I just did 90% of the pre-work for you, right? And that rest of the 10%, that's that essential human element that, is you, right? And that's that trust, Nic trust.
Yeah, no, maybe your
my battery's going low in my headphones.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm falling apart over here. And so I think it's this. I think maybe it sounds like I'm speaking with conviction. I think it's who the hell knows what's going to happen situation, right? There's just so much human, and I think it's establishing that, hey, there's a forcing function of recruiting like people are forcing, like companies and decision makers are forcing recruiting and talent acquisition to try to be more efficient. AI is creating a problem from the candidate spam side. What are the solutions to this, right? And what are the ways that AI can help solve the problem as well? And that'll be the problem. That'll be what people figure out over the next year and multiple years.
What do you think? Do you have any personal thought? And now, I'm not a huge AI user. I'm a total Luddite, I think, with some of this stuff. But we talk to designers a lot about standing out. You in a sea of spam, how would you stand out? And there's a myriad of ways. I think designers in particular like to design their CV, so there's a visual standout. We talk a lot about injecting your personality into your resume or your portfolio in whatever way you can, something memorable or something stand out about yourself. We talk a lot about that, but on the AI side of things, and to combine both, how would the candidate maybe stand out, and how would the AI potentially recognize that? If there's 1,000 applicants that come in and AI is screening each of them and trying to stack rank them, first there's the skills. Is there some way that AI can maybe screen for personality and certain matches that might resonate with the hiring company? So it encourages designers to still retain their personality. And then even within that, as a second thing, if you're at a big company, you have this problem too, Erica, you want to retain someone that could be good for a role that's just not the one that you're on right now. Larger companies that are dealing with this huge influx of candidates, maybe someone applied for a growth role and they're not really suited to that, but the work is actually quite reflective of their core product. And we want to store that, but we don't have a core product role right now, but we want to store that person away and surface them later. From your knowledge of like what the tooling can do, where do you think some of that stuff is landing? How far away from things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the AI can do some of that.
Okay.
Right. But like personality reception and evaluation of like excitement and something. I mean, it's personal preference. I don't want AI to do that. Right.
You don't? You wouldn't?
No. I don't. No.
Yep.
I would love for AI to capture data, right? Tell me about your experience, right? And like let me capture and store that data. So hey, when I open that core product role, I have that source data that says, hey, this person is a good fit for this, right? Like those are really good, right? Yep. Like that's what AI is very, very good at, is taking this complex unstructured data and structuring and comparing and matching it,
matching it, patterns,
right? Yep. But personal preference on somebody's emotions, or like literally the way that they emote, right? I don't know, and this is a personal preference for my own hiring. I don't really want AI to do that, right? I want to make the decision on that. And look, is there like predictive facial analysis and like video downloads and evaluation? There is. But there's a personal preference, a human element, if you will, of what do you want AI to do, right? Just because it can do it doesn't mean that it should do it, or it's the best way to approach something. On that. So, and I think that's maybe the broader theme in my own view, is like AI is going to get more advanced and be able to do a lot of things. Where should it be applied? Right? And that gets into that ROI stack rank forced opinion that sucks to do. I every time I talk about it, it like hurts me to talk about, because it's such a shitty way to think about building teams and prioritizing time and people. And when you're constrained on resources and budget and time, it's a forced way to approach things that makes you decide where you can apply certain things, right? But that doesn't mean it needs to be applied everywhere.
I agree. I think it should. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but I think there's like potentially a moment for pre-recording like a video for an application to showcase your personality in 2 minutes or less. I think that a couple of years ago, I was thinking about this, because it's so hard for companies who, especially if they're hiring globally or they're based at different locations, like to find the time to interview someone, or if vacations or whatnot. If different hiring managers can have opinions on who they're hiring, like there's got to be some way. And obviously, like we have recordings now of interviews, which people can opt out of. But I do think initially, I think the AI screening, we spoke to an internal recruiter, forget, maybe Ariel, Julie, she said that, have your titles like be the same.
They would stack rank based on almost like Boolean, like within the CV.
Experience level. and just things like that, I think. And obviously location preferences, or like wherever a company's hiring for, like that type of stuff is helpful to knock out. But I think there's just no time left, and I think we're all going insane, honestly, because we also have that like pang of guilt of, you know, I really wish so badly I could respond to everybody. It kills me actually that I can't. Now in my posts on LinkedIn, I'm like, I'm so sorry if I don't respond to you. Like, please know I like appreciate you, and I'm just trying to be so like communicative and transparent in that sense. So I agree. But there has to be some type of a change for us to review more, I think.
I'm always just thinking the most far out version of how far it's going to go, you know, how far the tech will go. And I'm picturing a summary like, oh, here's this candidate. They've got X amount of years experience. They're like this, and they enjoy fishing. And they're like, and you're like, I guess maybe I want to speak to them then. I don't know. Like, and then for the candidate, like, they're like, am I just a sea of skills? Am I just a bunch of stats? Like, no, I'm a human. I'm a person, and I bring these intangibles that my CV doesn't share in some way.
So here's one of the reasons that I get excited about a voice AI conversation versus. I'll take a step. Why I get excited about it. If there's 1,000 people that apply to a job that you have a rec for, do you want no AI solution, right?
Yeah.
How do you go through that nightmare situation? Exactly, right? So let's just say, okay, there is an application of AI at this like num candidates. Okay, so do you do just a AI review of every single application and have it stack rank based off of, hey, they worked at Google, they said this, right? There was this word in there. Or what if all of them had a 10-minute conversation and they actually got to provide depth to their experience, right? And that's what gets me excited, right? Is that it's not just Boolean word matching. And I always use an example, like in our fundraising decks and everything, of the first hire at Ellie, one of our engineers, Max. On his resume, he had a bullet point that was like 10 words. It was like team of 6 built like CRM or something.
Yeah.
Okay, kind of like, all right, sweet. We got on a call and we spent 20 minutes talking about how Max led that project, how he worked with different stakeholders, how he dealt with like internal issues within the team and debates between engineering and design and data and all this stuff. And I was like, thank God we talked and that this got to come up, because it painted this incredible picture about it. Right. And so it's an imperfect solution to a less imperfect problem. Right. And so I don't know. That's why I get excited about it. And I sort of put the question in your hands between those three scenarios of no AI on 1,000 applications, AI review of resumes, or a 10-minute voice conversation as an extension of the application, not an interview, but as an extension of data collection. I'm obviously leading a little bit on that question, but I'll put that on you guys. I mean, what do you think?
I totally would go with option C because honestly, the other day I like go through my email and I'm like, okay, I have 50 like applications to go through, and let me just bang out like 20 of them.
Yeah.
And then like an hour goes by and I've only gotten through 10. And so, there's like that's it.
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence between B and C for sure. Just in terms of my challenge with C is adding extra hoops to jump through for a candidate, and especially for a designer in particular. Again, just my audience and just my experience. A designer who's already invested X amount of hours in crafting a portfolio. And now I'm giving them additional tasks to do as part of the process, where it sort of feels like investing in the portfolio should have been the thing that I needed you to do, and that should give me the signal that I need. And instead I'm saying I need more signal from you. And if they've got a good portfolio, then I shouldn't need that more signal in a lot of ways. But how am I going to look at 1,000 of them? So I'm still stuck in a fucking mess anyway. But
what if they
so I don't know, but that's just Yeah.
They could just add it to their about page and it's part of the portfolio.
The 10-minute sort of, yeah.
5 minutes. I don't know.
5 minutes, yeah, any of it, yeah. I'm not sure, but that's my challenge with some of it. I want more access to more people, but I want a level of accuracy, and yeah, it's a challenge with design.
Me too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. No, exactly, and that's why I say, like, it's an imperfect solution.
Yeah.
I think
it's a work in progress.
There are a lot of factors at play right now where recruiting has become, like, the candidate experience and the recruiter experience has gotten just so out of hand. At every level. Where, like, the candidate experience, I'd love to just have a generic job candidate NPS of, like, what the jobs are like right now.
Yeah, horrible.
Terrible.
I know recruiter NPS. Like, so it's horrible that this is the state that we've gotten to. There is no perfect solution because of the human element. What are the imperfect human or what are the imperfect solutions that can help create a better experience? And I think that's what everyone's trying to figure out, or that's what some people are trying to figure out. I don't want to give everybody credit because some people are approaching it, but I would say is objectively incorrectly. And that's our goal, though, is to try to find imperfect human solutions to improve the experience.
Yeah, I see the need. I'm excited by it too. I don't think it's doom and gloom in any way whatsoever. I think that people need to embrace just where some of this stuff is happening and just lean on the side of, like, great candidate experience and great companies hiring good talent. Hopefully.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. I know we're at time. We did all the talking. We didn't even we didn't have a ton of questions, but I was just jamming on all of that. I really enjoyed that, Nick.
That was fun. Good. Hopefully not too many hot takes or anything on my side.
That's the whole point. No,
it's the whole point.
It's good. And I'm really excited to see where Ellie's going to go. Any recruiters tuning in, definitely go and check out the product and how it's going to help your day-to-day workflows, everything, companies that are hiring. If you want to improve your own hiring processes, Ellie has a ton of features already that's going to help any internal TA person as well. So, yeah, I love to see it. I just appreciate that you haven't forgotten the humans out there, Nick.
No, it's the last thing I'll say, and I wanted to thank you both for having me on, and it's great to be able to chat about this, and it's just such a principle of building teams to establish human connections with people, and I really, really hope that that everyone can sort of continue to value just the human element of spending time with one another, and how you decide if we're going to be doing this great work together, and just I think it's going to be easy and tempting to opt out of that, and I hope everybody that starts to use AI in their processes can remember that from a candidate experience, and sending out, I saw something that's like, apply to all the tech jobs in 30 seconds earlier. I was like,
oh, no.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I think on the recruiting side as well, I think just because you can doesn't mean you should on a lot of these things. And so if you're going to apply AI in some of these processes, do it thoughtfully. And I hope that with Ellie, that's what we're doing. I think it is. If anybody has thoughts or feedback and our approach or questions, like, we just talked about it for an hour. I love all the feedback and all the questions, and I spend all day talking with people about, hey, what are we doing? Is it right? Is it the right way to do it?
It's awesome.
Or are we approaching it the entirely wrong way? So anybody that has any questions, thoughts, etc., please reach out to me directly, and
I love that.
Chat about it. Happy to chat anytime.
Love it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Amazing. All right. I'm going to hit end stream. Cheers.